Hi everyone, Great Power 60 here. I'm just turning you a little bit here. So I'm going to be creating another pocket letter for Halloween. This time it's going to be a vintage Halloween pocket letter. I found some amazing pictures on internet to represent the vintage Halloween. So I'm going to try that and let's get started. I'm just going to pause here for a moment and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I had to prepare my paper. So this is my process. I'm going to turn you down here and have a good view of what I am doing. I hope that, sorry about that. Alrighty. So what I've done is I have cut out, I went on the internet, got some free clip art, and I put 9 pieces on a piece of paper and printed it off on my printer, and then I've cut them out. And now I've just sort of placed them. Let me get rid of some of my goodies here. Alrighty, there's everything. So I've placed them on my 9 pockets just to have a look at what they're going to do. Then I had to go and look and see where I could find some paper that would, you know, give it some justice. I wanted to find a common background. So this is what I do. Alrighty, so let's put that down. Alright, so I found this one. I found this one to be the closest to kind of giving me a vintage background. And I won't obviously be using the whole thing, but I do want the edges. So what I decide to do when I'm doing this, and this is the plain one here, is to give it the all-round edges. What I'll do is I'll cut a strip here, and I'll cut a strip here, and then to match it up, I'll cut a middle strip there. So that's just to give you an idea of how I sort of want to get the whole outside frame, because these pages are all too big for my pocket letters. But if I want the frame all around it, I need to cut these at 2.5 and this side at 2.5, and then find, like, I like this smudge here. I don't know if you can see it very well, so I'll probably end up using this part, and then the middle part will just be scrap paper that I can use for later. So we'll put these there. So now comes the part where I have to cut my paper. Now what I'm doing right now is just cutting off the advertising edge on the bottom, because I don't want that part, right? So we're going to get rid of that. And I'll get it as close to the bottom as possible, so I don't lose any of the paper. That looks pretty close. And I get rid of that. Now, if there was anything cool on here, like any, I would save it, but there's nothing on here. It's just the memory kit regime, so I get rid of it. Alrighty, so now what I need to do is measure. So I need to have this at 2.5 wide, because I want this to be my edge here. So I'm going to cut this strip down at 2.5, and then the height I'll do later. Alrighty, so because our pocket letters are 2.5, I'm going to measure that. Okay, that's 2.5. Now I'm going to take that sheet and cut this just so that I will show you, but this is, I usually cut all the 2.5s first. But just to show you what my process is, Alrighty, so there's my first pocket in the top corner. So as you can see, I have my border, and then I'm going to make sure that the bottom one is 3.5. Because the corners are my more important ones. The sides I can fill in. Alright, so now I've got my corners. So now it's just a decision on how much of the smudge I want, and I really want a lot of it. So I will turn it around and make it at 2.5. Oops, sorry, 3.5. I did that before. Almost made a boo-boo. And then this is scrap for pockets for later on, or for other pockets. And that's how I do my edges. So I'm going to do the same process on the other side. Alright, so I'm going to do it at 2.5. Let's get this here. Alright, so that's my 2.5. So now I want this corner and this corner to be in it, so I'm cutting those first at the 3.5. Alrighty, so there's my 3.5, and that's this corner. I don't know how other people do it, but this is the way I do it in order to make sure that I have the frame that I want. And now I want to do the bottom corners. And then the fill-ins will happen later. And there, I've got lots of goodies underneath here from my previous pocket letter that I did. Okay, so again, I want to have most of the smudging here, so I will keep that, and at 3.5 again. And my piece, I always keep the pieces, always, always. So there we have the outside. Now I have this middle sheet that I have to decide which side I want, and I like this smudging better. So I'm going to use this side, so I'm turning it around and making it at 2.5 wide. I don't know how other people do it, I'm just showing you what I'm doing. Alrighty. So now we have this extra scrap I don't need right now. Again, I need the top and the bottom first, so at 3.5 inches. I'm going to cut that and fit it in here. And then I'm going to do the bottom at 3.5. And there's my frame around. So there's my frame around that I'm happy with. So this piece, I have to decide which side. Now, I like a lot of the smudging. This doesn't have as much. So I'm going to use that for my center. Keep that for later. And that is how I cut a large piece of paper, of the cardstock paper that I get, to make it fit my pocket letter. And that is my process. And then the next step for me is to take my pieces out and decide where I want to put them. So I may not use this same process. Alright, one's missing. One is missing, it's right here. Alright, and there are my vintage printouts. So what I'll do is stick them in for now, and then I'll decorate them later. This is just one process that I use. I don't know. I'm not an expert at these things. I'm just learning, but to me it's such a fun, creative outlet, so that I can, the stressors of life, sometimes we need to have a little creative outlet. I admire these ladies that have been doing the scrapbooking and crafts and pocket letters for years. I mean, everything from knitting and crocheting to creating, you know, cards and just, you know, working with ceramics and working with wood and working with all of these different mediums, painting. You know, there's so much more to this whole creative field than I ever imagined. And I wish I had been more involved as a child, because I think I would have been very good at um, some kind of outlet, some kind of creative outlet. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know, but at least it would have been an absolutely wonderful life. So here we have all of my vintage cut out, placed on the page that I want, and my next step will be to decorate it. And this can be in any fashion at all, but I want it to be vintage, so naturally there will be lace and that kind of thing on here. So I just wanted to show you the process that I go through and what I'm doing with this one. It takes me a long time to create the final pages and how I want it decorated and so on. So I'm going to stop this here and say thanks for joining me. And my next video, I hope to include the final product. Please like, thumbs up, share, subscribe, comment. I really appreciate you coming back and seeing what craziness I'm up to. This is really a fun project, and I just thought of this, what they used to do in the old days. I have so many photographs that I have captured on the internet of vintage photographs of people, how they used to dress years ago, everything all the way back to the 20s, the 1920s, up to the 50s, and I just thought that was so cool. So I may do something with that, I'm not sure, but for now, I'm going to continue working on this, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.